Now we are switching gears. The core idea is same as episode 1. Claude is talking to Salesforce through MCP, but everything else is different. This time, the server is local, the audience is developers, and the goal is shipping real metadata from your machine into a real org. The episode is about 12 minutes and it's fully hands-on, so go ahead and get your terminal open. The second MCP product in this course is the Salesforce DX MCP Server. This is a separate open source Salesforce product published as Salesforce MCP NPM package. Unlike the hosted MCP server from first episode, this one runs locally on your machine. It is built for coding agent like Claude, Cursor, and VS Code with Copilot, and it lives inside your Salesforce DX project so it can see your real project structure, not just the org's data. In case you want to see the GitHub repo for this particular MCP server, you have to go to this particular repo. Go back to presentation. This server gives you a lot of surface area. The DX MCP server exposes more than 60 tools organized into roughly 15 tool sets. That includes org management for listing and switching authenticated orgs, metadata tools for deploying and retrieving components, data tools for SOQL and record CRUD, user and permission set tools, Apex test execution tools, and even code analysis plus DevOps centered pipeline tools for more advanced workflows. We are not going to use every tool today, but it matters that the platform is this broad. So if I go over here on this particular GitHub repo, if you go and read, you will find out which all tools it has got, then what all are these tools capable of doing. So we have DevOps tool, we have LWC tool, and a lot of other tools also. Let's compare hosted MCP versus DX MCP. This comparison is worth slowing down for because it is for the biggest point of confusion people have who have only seen the hosted MCP path. Hosted MCP runs in cloud inside Salesforce. DX MCP runs locally on your machine. Hosted MCP requires an external client app with OAuth scopes. DX MCP does not because the Salesforce CLI already ships with its own connected app. Hosted MCP uses OAuth web server flow with PKCE. DX MCP uses the normal SF org login web flow. Same protocol idea, very different setup and audience. Before we type anything, make sure the local machine is ready. You need Node.js 18 or newer. You need the Salesforce CLI installed globally with npm install, and you need Claude Code installed globally with npm install Anthropic AI. Also, on one more reminder before anyone starts following along blindly, Claude Code needs either a pro subscription or API billing. It does not run on free plan. So just make sure that you run these commands for Salesforce CLI and Claude Code and install it on your local machine. The first step is to authorize your org locally. You have to run sf org login web. You will have an alias like my devorg. In our demo, we are using an alias af underscore demo. Your browser opens, you will log in into the same developer edition org from earlier, and you approve the CLI built in the connected app. There is no manual scope selection and no extra configuration screen here because the Salesforce CLI already ships with it. This is a one-time step per machine per org, and it should feel much simpler than the external client app. setup from first episode. If you're starting from scratch, then you have to create a project. For that, you have to run SF project generate with a project name and scaffold a new Salesforce DX project. If you already have a project, just cd into it. Inside that folder, two things matter: SFDC project JSON, which hosts the project configuration, and the FOSUP directory, which holds your actual metadata source. That is the project Claude Code is about to see and work inside. Let me show you that in VS Code first. So I'm in VS Code. I'm going to open a folder. I just open a folder by name AF demo, and this particular SFDX project folder is already authorized to the Salesforce org. Let it root. Let's go back to Salesforce. So I'm back to the presentation. Now let's talk about the most important thing of configuring the MCP server. So in the root of the folder, so let me just go back to VS Code. This is the folder I have, AF demo, AF underscore demo. Over here, we will create a file by name mcp.json. And in this particular file, we are going to reference the MCP, and then we are going to specify the org alias. Once we are done, then in the terminal, we are going to write Claude. Claude says that it has found a new MCP server. So I'll say yes, use this MCP server. This will happen the first time you have created an MCP server in this particular file .mcp.json. Now let's go back to presentation. Now let's take a second to notice the toolset flag because it's easy to skim past it and is actually important. The orgs toolset let Claude list and manage authorize org. Data gives it a SQL query and record CRUD. Metadata handles deploying and retrieving components, which is the part we will use in the demo. And Apex let it run test and read back results. The practical advice is simple: only enable the toolset you actually need. A smaller tool list actually leads to a sharper agent behavior. Now let's see, we will go to Claude and then ask list my connected docs. So I asked Claude to list my connected docs, and now it is going to give me a result back. Still running. So it came back by result. It tells me like what is my default org and what all other orgs I have got over here. So all these are the other orgs that this particular CLI is connected to. Going back to presentation. Now it's time for the first real deployment. We'll give Claude a small concrete task, such as creating a custom field like favorite color on content, and ask it to deploy that state to the AF demo org using only the MCP tools. The change is intentionally tiny and low risk. The point here is not complexity. The point is to prove that full loop works end to end from a plain English request to a real change landing in a real Salesforce org. I'm just going to give the instruction. Now let's look into the result also. So what Claude Code is doing, it is reading the project existing metadata structure. It can follow the convention already in place. Then it generates the field definition. It's matching the meta XML file. Next, it calls the metadata deploy tool through MCP instead of manually typing an SF command. And finally, it reports the deploy status back in the chat. None of this touches the Salesforce UI. Now we are going to cross check whether the field already got deployed or not to the object. Okay. So now let's go back to Salesforce. We're in Salesforce now. So this particular field got created in Salesforce. This is where the value proposition should really land. The manual path would mean opening setup, clicking through object manager, multi-step field creation wizard, or handwriting metadata XML if you are working outside the UI. The Claude Code plus DX MCP path is one sentence, a review, and a deploy. That is the workflow the rest of the course builds on. It is not just that AI feels impressive, it is that this specific loop of requests generates, deploy, and verify just got dramatically shorter. This completes module 1. Across these two episodes, you connected Claude Desktop and Claude.ai to a live Salesforce org through the hosted MCP server, and you separately connected Claude Code to a local DX project through the DX MCP server. You ran a real live query and deployed real metadata, all without relying on Salesforce native UI. Both halves of the foundation are now in place, the business user path and the developer path. The plumbing is done now. Both connection paths are live, both are proven, and the hard setup work is behind us. Module 2 is where this starts getting genuinely useful because that's where we turn Claude into a business agent that can handle real questions and real workflows against your org instead of one off demo prompts.